Hey, how's it going out there, everybody? Checking in today from Tennessee. Sorry it's a little dark in the truck here. It's actually still daylight out, but I got the curtains closed in the front because I'm still in the loaner truck. Excuse me. Do not have an APU. Well, excuse me. I have an APU on this truck. It does not work. So I'm keeping the curtains closed to keep it as cool as I can so I don't have to idle this truck as much. It's about 80 degrees outside and I just stopped running. I'm over here just east of Knoxville, around the Smoky Mountain area. And I wanted to talk to you today about a couple things. I got two things I want to talk about. Number one is my operation and how I operate and why I do the things I do. And I want to talk to you about that because a lot of people keep saying, why are you hauling freight so cheap? Don't haul cheap freight. And I tell them, give me your 30-day average on the rates that you haul for, and I bet you my rates are still higher than yours with my $1 a mile freight I pull sometimes. Because, okay, but anyway, before I get off on that tangent, the second thing I want to talk about is the load I did down from Chicago down to South Carolina. Wrapped that up today. It was a 2-pick, 3-drop run. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. First, I want to get into my operation a little bit. Okay, guys, I live in Minneapolis, and the carrier I'm leased to has direct freight from Minneapolis, Iowa, and Wisconsin. A little bit in South Dakota now, but I don't mess with that too much. So my thing is, I get really good rates. Majority of the time, I get really good rates coming out of those direct customers. And then it's up to me to book something just to get back. And that's why, I mean, I don't want to haul cheap. Hell, I wish my back hauls paid like the the hauls down to where I'm going pay. I'd love to average $4 a mile, but you're just not going to do that in trucking. So if you're new to trucking and you don't understand like how that works, stick around, learn some stuff, and watch this whole video before you get on me about cheap rates, because there's more to rates than, and I get it, because most guys, most owner operators, they operate strictly off a load board. I get it. If you run nothing but load board freight, you're going to have a hard time keeping your average up. And to me, the reason I run under a carrier instead of having my own DOT numbers is because of that back office staff that gets the direct customer freight. And to me, if you're going to have your own DOT numbers, you need to be working on getting your own customers anyway, because the fact of the matter is, if you're pulling nothing but load board freight, you're not going to have a very high rate of success over like a decade time frame. You may have a little bit when the rates are good, but when they're doing what they're doing right now, this direct customer freight is killer. It's really good stuff. So that's why I do what I do. And I'm willing to take some back hauls that don't pay as much to get back into those areas where I am making good freight or making good money on the freight. So when you see me hauling a cheap back haul, to me, it's all about averages. That one load doesn't make or break anybody, and for me to have a really good average, it's best for me to get straight back from delivering the good paying load to get straight back to where I got direct customers. And I don't like splitting it. I don't like doing like 2 loads to get back there. So like from South Carolina, I don't want to do a load to Ohio and then Ohio to Minneapolis. I just want to get back to the good paying freight. And I don't want to be out on the road for a month at a time. So if you're going to run the load board and you're going to be out a month at a time, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to struggle with your average rate prices. And that's a little bit of advice I can give you there. I try not to go to really dead areas, but sometimes like the load to Boston, they paid almost $4 a mile to go to Boston a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I knew I was going to have to haul some $1 a mile freight out of there. And everybody else was screaming, oh, why are you hauling cheap freight? You're ruining the prices for everybody else. Well, my thought on it is get you some direct customers and bring your average up. And you wouldn't be worried about, what I'm hauling. So, with that being said, let me get to this load I did. I pulled this out of Chicago. It's not a direct customer, but it's a broker that we get email blasts from, and it's typically really good stuff. I love doing these. They come down to the Southeast, and a lot of times the broker, if you do a good job coming down, the broker has contacts down here, and you can call them for a backhaul. And I can't wait to tell you about the backhaul I got right now, guys. That'll be another video. Stay tuned for that one. But this backhaul I'm hauling right now is it's a critical expedited load that has to be maintained at 0 degrees. And oh man, it's good paying freight. It's good paying freight. Weighs less than 1,000 pounds, guys. Less than 1,000 pounds. 0 degrees, expedited. Love it. Love it. 1,300 mile run. I'll tell you what it pays next video. But yeah, this one here, they came down from Chicago to South Carolina. 2 picks, 3 drops, 1,100. It was a little less than 1,100. It was like 1,092 miles. So for round numbers, we're going to say 1,100 miles. Paid $3,500 total, which is $318 to the carrier, $254 to me, or to the truck. I spent $400 in fuel. It wasn't a very heavy load. The majority of the freight came off at the second stop, and about 300 of those miles were after that. So the last stop was a 2,500 pound pallet. So I rode like 300 of the 1,100 miles that way. I had a 100-mile deadhead, and that 100-mile deadhead's included in this rate. So you can say probably 400 of the 1,100 miles were basically empty, and it didn't really weigh that much altogether. So the numbers on that, I spent $400 on truck fuel, and I'm still in the loaner Volvo. So there's no DEF. I spent $40 on reefer fuel because it was like 36 degrees, and it was actually cool when I was coming down. Now it's like 80 degrees, and I got this. It was 80 degrees today, and I had the customer wanted the trailer pre-cooled to 0 on this one I got right now. So that took a minute to get that thing cooled off like that. So that left me $23.60. It took 5 days to do it, including the pickup. And actually, I picked it up, and then the way I timed it, I actually did a 34-hour restart with this load. So I didn't need to, but I figured, hey, why not do it? But I'm going straight back to the house now. I didn't know that then, but yeah, so $23.60 on a 5-day run that had a 34-hour restart in the middle of it. The load I took a load to Milwaukee that paid, it paid like $1,500. They gave me $5,000 revenue for the week, but I had to use very little fuel. You know, it was like, I want to say like 1,500 miles, 1,600 miles I did this week, and generated, you know, $5,000 worth of revenue to the truck, to the carrier, which puts about $4,000 to the truck. So, you know, for all you guys that say I'm hauling cheap freight, put your numbers up. If you're going to talk about me hauling cheap freight because I haul one cheap backhaul, put your numbers up. Let's see what your averages are for the month, you know? Like this load here, after fuel, after everything, net, I'm netting. And this is only after variable cost. And I only put variable cost in there because everybody's operation is so different with insurance and all that. But, you know, after variable cost, I'm netting like over $2 a mile there. You know, if you think I'm hauling cheap freight, put your numbers up. If you're doing over $2 a mile net, I'd love to see it. Because like this load I'm taking back up, you know, I'm cruising at 70 miles an hour in a 2009 Volvo. I got no weight in the box. At 70 miles an hour through the mountains today, I'm averaging like 7.4 miles a gallon. And, I'm going to use a lot of reefer fuel on this because it's like 80 degrees out. But, at the end of the day, say I use $150. It delivers Friday. This is Tuesday. So, so what? I use $150, $200 worth of reefer fuel. So anybody out there that's leaving comments about me hauling cheap freight, be realistic with yourself, and let me see and tell me your numbers, because I got a feeling that a lot of that talk is not really like, I don't think it's people just being upset with the rates right now. It's not so much that they're mad at me personally, even though they try to take it out on me personally, but I honestly think it's more they're in a position and they're running their business a certain way, and it leaves them frustrated when they're not succeeding. And, I think that's more what it is than the fact that I don't think they're really that mad at me for hauling, $1.10 out of, where I got to do it to get back to where I got to get back to. But anyway, guys, that's the trip. Wanted to go over the numbers. $23.60 after variable cost on a 1,100 mile trip. The trip before that was like 500 miles. So let's say 1,600 miles this week. 1,600 miles I've drove this week, and generated $5,000 in revenue. Don't come at me saying I'm hauling cheap freight all the time. Yeah, I haul it when I got to, but anybody that knows, they know sometimes it's what's got to be done to get to it's just what's got to be done. But anyway, guys, let's take care of each other out there. Try to be civil, and don't take your 30-minute break at the fuel island. Oh man. It's just me maybe, but it seems like it takes longer and longer to get fuel every time I go to get fuel. Getting brutal at some of these, man. I know guys, I've seen guys sitting at the fuel island, didn't even get fuel, today. So don't do that, guys. Don't be that guy. And, but anyway, that's my little rant. Take care of each other, everybody, and try to be nice to each other. Later.